often written by the victors. It is a clean, heavily edited story designed to hide the darkest truths of human ambition. On April 12, 1961, the Soviet Union announced to the world that Yuri Gagarin had become the first human being to journey into outer space. He returned a hero, a smiling, flawless symbol of Soviet supremacy. But what if the history books are lying? What if the vast, freezing emptiness of space is already a silent graveyard, a tomb holding the frozen bodies of those who went before him? During the peak of the Cold War, the space race was not a friendly scientific competition. It was a brutal, secretive, and highly deadly war of propaganda. The Soviet Union would never broadcast a rocket launch live. They only announced their successes to the world long after the cosmonauts were safely back on the ground. Because if a rocket exploded in a ball of fire on the launch pad, or if a capsule drifted off into the infinite black void forever, the Kremlin's rule was simple. No one would ever know. It simply never happened. But the Soviet machine made one fatal miscalculation. They forgot that once a radio signal is broadcast into the atmosphere, it can be intercepted by anyone on Earth who knows exactly how to listen. In Turin, Italy, two brilliant young brothers named Achille and Giovanni Giudica Cordiglia set up a makeshift listening station. They built it inside the thick concrete walls of an abandoned World War II bunker. They called it Torre Bert. Using scavenged military equipment and massive homemade antennas, they began scanning the skies, hunting for secret Soviet frequencies. And they found them. At first, they intercepted basic telemetry data, the simple rhythmic beeps of the Sputnik satellite passing overhead in the dark. But then, on November 28, 1960, a full 5 months before Gagarin's historic flight, the brothers intercepted something that made their blood run cold. It was an SOS signal. Faint at first, drowned out by cosmic radiation. But the mathematical Doppler effect showed something absolutely terrifying. The signal was moving away from the Earth. It grew weaker and weaker until it vanished entirely into the background noise of the universe. Someone was trapped inside a malfunctioning capsule, drifting off into the infinite black void, tapping out a final desperate plea for help that would never, ever be answered. 3 months later, in February 1961, the brothers recorded something even more disturbing than a Morse code distress call. They recorded a human heartbeat. It was the raw medical telemetry of a dying cosmonaut. Through the heavy static of their radio, the brothers listened in horrifying silence as the heartbeat raced in a state of sheer, unadulterated panic. Then it slowly began to fade as the oxygen in the tiny cabin ran out. And finally, it stopped completely. The whispers in the intelligence community suggested a name for this ghost: Vladimir Ilyushin. One of the Soviet Union's most elite and decorated test pilots. Rumors say that days before Gagarin's flight, Ilyushin was launched into orbit, but his capsule malfunctioned upon re-entry, crashing deep into the treacherous mountains of communist China. He survived the horrific impact, but was captured and held prisoner. The Soviet Union could not admit to the world that their great space triumph ended in a disastrous crash in foreign territory. So they erased Ilyushin's mission from the history books. They buried the truth and hastily sent Yuri Gagarin in his place to claim the ultimate glory. But the most terrifying recording of all, the one that still haunts researchers and sends shivers down the spine of anyone who hears it, came in May 1961. The Judica Cordiglia brothers locked onto a transmission from a Soviet capsule attempting a dangerous re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. But things were going catastrophically wrong. The heat shield was failing. The capsule was burning up. Through the heavy, crackling static, they heard a voice. It was the voice of a woman, a female cosmonaut. The voice is frantic, desperate. She is speaking in Russian to a ground control station that can do absolutely nothing to save her. Listen! Our transmission begins now. I feel hot. I see a flame. Isn't this too hot? I am burning. 3241. I am burning. And then, a dead, heavy, eternal silence. The capsule had completely burned up in the atmosphere, disintegrating into dust before it ever touched the ground. To this day, the Soviet Union and modern Russia have never acknowledged a female cosmonaut launching in May 1961. Officially, she does not exist. Her family was never told. Her terrifying final moments were swept under the rug of political pride. The Kremlin denied everything. The Judica Cordiglia brothers were dismissed by some as hoaxers, trying to seek international fame. Yet years later, when the Iron Curtain fell and the Soviet Union finally collapsed, declassified documents revealed a dark and undeniable truth. The Soviets routinely airbrushed dead or disgraced cosmonauts out of their official photographs. Men like Grigory Nelyubov and Valentin Bondarenko died in horrific secret training accidents. Their faces were literally erased from history, painted over as if they had never been born. If an empire could so easily erase men on the ground, how many brave souls did they erase in the stars? The Judica Cordiglia recordings remain one of the most chilling audio archives in human history, a ghostly echo from the darkest days of the Cold War. How many phantom cosmonauts are still out there right now, frozen in their metal tombs, silently orbiting the Earth in the freezing dark? Only the vacuum of space knows their names. Some secrets are too dark for the light of day. The void remembers what history forgets. Subscribe to join us on the next investigation into the archives of blood.